These are the Souvenir Tankards from Julian, California. So prior to throwing the clay, I actually will wedge it. I do not show this in the video. It's important to wedge your clay to make sure it's uniform in consistency and soft. So when I start, I have to raise and lower the clay multiple times, again, to get that consistent, well-prepared clay. Now I will open the clay to achieve the width of the bottom of the tankard. And with this body, we're going to start with a wide base and then bring it up to a more narrow mouth. Here I begin raising the walls of the cylinder. To account for the shrinkage of the clay, my goal is about 7 inches in height for these mugs. So unfortunately, I did cut off what I'm working on the top, so I'll continue to raise the clay and then make sure that the lip of the cylinder is level and even. And now I'm cleaning up the area around the cylinder, so just making sure the wheel is clean. And then using a tool to form the foot of the mug. I do not trim the bottom of these mugs. Instead, I use the foot decoration tool, wiring off the cylinder. At this point, I will put the mugs into a damp room to dry for 24 hours, and then they will come out a leather hard consistency, which is firm yet still damp and workable. And now I'm just smoothing the mug, making sure there's no burrs, everything looks nice. Then I will use cornstarch to prepare the surface for stamping with a custom stamp into the bottom of each mug. This says handmade in Julian, California, and then I will stamp my initials into the bottom, leaving my mark on each mug. I make the handles using a clay extruder and pressing the clay out through a die. This does take a little bit of strength to do consistently. And then I will lay the pieces out to firm up so that when I work with them on the mug, they're not wet. It's important that they have stiffened up to some extent. Here I am rolling out the slab that I will use to create the relief stamps that will go onto the mug. Spraying the clay, compressing the surface with a rib. It's always important to use a lot of pressure and to prepare the clay well before using it. Unprepared clay can warp or it can crack. Again, using cornstarch to prepare the surface before leaving an imprint. Each piece is then hand stamped with Julian, California. So now comes the work of attaching the handles to the mugs. This is a very labor-intensive process and has to be done very carefully and precisely. Smoothing and preparing the handle, scoring, and testing where the handle will go. And it's important always when joining surfaces to always score and slip in order to make a strong connection. So attaching the first part of the handle, and then testing what the shape of the handle will be before I make my final cut. I really take the time to evaluate the shape of the handle before making my final decision. With these handles, I wanted something that was large and springy and really felt like it would feel strong and bold in your hand, and I think that I did achieve that. Again, scoring and slipping to attach the handle is always very important. And then tidying up the area with the paintbrush, removing any excess slip that may have come out. Excess slip can cause cracking if it's not removed. And then letting the mugs firm upside down a little bit so that the handles retain their buoyancy. Now I will work on attaching the relief stamps that go on the surface of the mug. So first I use the slip to mark where I need to score. So I paint it on there and then leave a little impression, and then scoring both where the stamp will attach and the stamp itself. And then always using slip as the glue, which will bring the pieces together. Cleaning up any excess slip, and then the mug will dry slowly for about a week before it is bisque fired. Then I need to clean the mug after it's firing. Here I am applying black glaze, and this will reveal the stamp and the impression and really make it pop on the mug. And then wiping it off so it only reveals the decoration underneath. To protect the stamp, it will be coated in wax, and this prevents any other glaze colors from attaching to this particular area of the mug. And then I will additionally glaze the bottom of the mug. Glaze will join to the kiln shelf and it will ruin both the piece and the shelf, so it's important that there's no glaze around the bottom of the mug. Here I am dipping the mug into its first glaze, and then this will eventually be dipped into other colors. After the glaze dries, I need to go over and rub any bumps or bubbles that have come up just to make sure I get a very smooth application. And then I will clean any excess glaze off of the waxed areas. And the wax doesn't prevent the glaze from sticking, but it makes it very, very easy to clean up. And then after another firing in the kiln, this time the glaze firing at a higher temperature, we have our finished Julian, California Souvenir Tankards.